Hey, so we are here today with John Apollinar from Scottsdale Scoop. Again, this is his second time on the show. First one was awesome. Love what he's doing out there. Stoked to have you again, John. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you. I know we had a really good conversation the first time around and just stoked to come on board and just kind of chat it up and share what's working and maybe see what's working on your side of things.
Yeah. Let's just do it. Let's just kind of chat as two people doing this, successfully, or let's say to some degree, we're doing this successfully and probably ahead of most people listening to this, right? So things that are working for us, things that aren't, things that are on our radar, all of that kind of stuff.
hmm
So, yeah, why don't you tell me first? Like, what I think when did we talk? Two months ago, maybe something like that. What
Yeah.
what? Yeah, it was something like that. Give me some high level, you know, things that have been happening in your realm, good, bad, things you've tried. What are the things that jump out to you that's happened recently?
Yeah. So lately I've been having just a ton of momentum now with prospects, right? Like people that haven't signed yet, but I think, I would consider them part of like my active pipeline. And that really has picked up within the last, I would say 2 weeks, especially.
Oh wow.
I went to maybe having, two, three conversations. Like now I'm juggling like 15, maybe
Oh
more.
wow.
So there's quite a lot of like I would just say momentum in that kind of realm. And really, I think like what's been working is two things. So I'm continuing to hit these Chamber of Commerce events and
Yeah.
just get the word out there and like network locally and talk to these business owners in person and it's just like a more fun environment. Like these are like social gatherings.
Mhm.
So those are going really well. And also I've just been leaning a lot on Instagram DMing. So
Yeah.
I am finding like the companies that I want to work with, like these high ticket sale items like lawyers, med spas, plastic surgeons, luxury home builders, and I am just reaching out to them on LinkedIn and kind of just sharing like a little bit more of the audience, sharing a little bit more of like what a newsletter actually is and like why they
hmm
it's not that big of an audience on Instagram yet, but the newsletter audience is bigger. And it's been generating a lot of really good conversations. I actually just had like a plastic surgeon call me back like maybe an hour ago. They're like,
Nice.
hey, like, yeah, just so that's been going really well. Hammering the in-person stuff, hammering Instagram every day. I'm sending like 5 to 10 DMs just so, people I see kind of advertising here and there that might be really good fits. And yeah, so I can say now like I have a pretty good looking pipeline for the
That's
first time.
awesome.
For the first
Yeah.
time.
No,
So yeah,
this is great news, and I feel like it's great because you're doing the work to make this happen, but it's not like crazy hard work, right? It's just putting in the effort to go show
yeah,
up, go shake hands, and I mean, what are you spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day on Instagram, sending DMs, something like that? I
yeah.
mean,
Not even
you
that,
know,
man. ten
not
minutes.
even that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So these aren't things that would be very difficult for people to just replicate what you're doing, right? And it's
right.
exactly what we should be doing. So I love that, man.
Yep.
That's great. So um, okay, what are you messaging them, by the way? What, like, let's say for the Instagram DMs, I could totally imagine the
Yeah,
super
pull that
short
up.
one or two sentences being great, or like, are you explaining about the newsletter and everything in there? I could see both ways being good. What are you doing?
I'm keeping it super short. So literally, I changed the template based on the type of business I'm reaching out to a little
Okay.
bit. But I reached out to a really big law firm here that's everywhere. And I've tried to call them, no go. I've tried to cold
Mhm.
email them, no go. Finally, I get the person on Instagram and I was like, hey, I love the creativity your marketing brings. Even my mom sings their songs because like part of their catch is like they make
Mhm.
these crazy catchy songs like about their law group. But I was
Mhm.
like, I run the Scottsdale Scoop. We feature fun events, local businesses around town. I have a dialed in audience of 5,000 locals who actually care about what's happening in Scottsdale. Would love to collab or feature you if you're up for it. Let me know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
By the
that
way,
just
I
kind of
like
starts
that.
that conversation.
So your call to action is about collaborating. So
Yeah.
you're not
Or
saying,
featuring.
hey, so it's not, hey, do you want to buy ads?
Right.
Obviously, don't throw it out there of, hey, do you want to give me money? That's probably not
Yeah.
the best angle when you haven't
Mm,
spoken to somebody, right? So,
right.
okay, are you up for collaborating? I heard somebody else mention that being a really good term, really good way to do an intro. So
Yeah.
that's clearly working for you as it did for someone else. So that's awesome. By the way, yeah, I had just talked to somebody else this morning privately who was doing exactly what you're doing on Instagram and said that that's working as well too. Is
Really.
DMing. And so I actually had it on my list that that's something I need to start doing, and now I've heard it twice today. So
You know, what's
yes.
funny is I got it from one of your episodes. The guy
Oh,
with the
really?
really big Instagram, like he has like 60,000 Instagram followers. He writes a newsletter
Okay.
somewhere in Canada, I think.
Oh,
I can't remember who
Wichita,
it was.
or not Wichita.
Maybe.
Jazz. Not.
I can't remember, but he just said like I reach out to people on Instagram and they kind of like feel forced to respond. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not
Maybe it
big
was
yet, but
Shane.
maybe.
Is this
Yeah,
Shane? He's in Canada. Yeah.
it
Okay.
was
But
one of the Canada
one of
newsletters.
the Canada
Like,
guys. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he had
Okay.
a few of them.
Nice.
But yeah, so I was like, oh, like let's
Yeah.
just start that, and I started doing it, and yeah, it's been getting a lot of really good responses. And usually, what's happening is either A, I'm setting up an in-person meeting from that message. So if they're
Okay.
like, oh, like I'd love to learn more, I'm setting up an in-person meeting. I'll say, cool, give me like 2 to 3 days, like at a time, like that works, and I'll go pop in person and do the meeting. Or they're saying, hey, like call my office manager that handles marketing. Like here's the number
Mhm.
or here's their email. Like reach out to them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. That's awesome. And that's just because if you meet them in person, you can build more trust, have more
yeah,
likelihood of closing, obviously. So even
yeah,
though it's going to take a lot more effort on your part, it's just worth it. Plus, you're
yeah.
building quality relationships, proving that you're in Scottsdale, which kind of
Right.
matters now, right? So okay, I like that. Now tell me about the in person stuff, because again, I know I preach it and I really want to do it. I actually like doing it, but just finding time and focusing on it has just been a struggle for me. So tell me how that's going, the type of events that they're doing, and like how are you introducing yourself in the way of getting them to potentially want to advertise, or do you just not do that and just talk about what you're doing and they're automatically interested?
So it depends on so I'll kind of answer those.
Yeah.
So the type of events that my Chamber of Commerce does is these meetups. So they'll have an AM meetup, which is early in the morning, a meetup at 7 a.m., and they'll have a PM Connect,
Mm.
usually at like 5 p.m. So there's usually 1 to 2 of these a month, if not more.
Okay.
And so I'm going to those and just networking. Like I'm keeping it very casual, just asking people what they do, and then they share like, oh, like what do you do? And then that's kind of like
Mm.
where I share. And like I'm not pitching, but
Yeah.
I am leading, like trying to get them intrigued a little bit of like getting in
Yeah.
front of the audience.
Okay.
So I do that. And then other times, what I'm doing is I have like a list of businesses I want to work with that I know for a fact are Chamber of Commerce members. And I'm actively like searching those people and I'm saying, hey, like we're kind of, networking right now. Let me grab a few minutes of your time and, before the end of the event. And then before the event ends, finding them again, sitting down with them and just like pitching them of like why I wanted to talk to them. Because I'm like, hey, like I think our audience would really like what you're doing. This is my audience. This is what I'm doing. Would love to get you in front of them some way. And
Okay.
I did
And
that last week with the luxury home builder. And now I have a meeting with them later today, just because I have like a few ideas around like real estate that I want to start doing.
Mhm.
And I think it'd be really good to have the luxury home builder sponsor that section.
I totally agree. I think luxury slash custom home builders is like one of the most obvious ones for us, right? I mean,
Yep.
what's their even on an annual sponsorship for you? If they bought your top thing, if they sold one deal, they'd make 10x what
Killing.
they paid you, maybe
They
20x
crush.
for
Yeah.
one, right?
Yep.
So it is no brainer. And funnily enough, I had a great conversation this morning with somebody who does marketing for a custom home builder, and she was very interested in this idea. By the way, another thing that was interesting was I brought up that if somebody works with me on a like annual sponsorship, I'll do the exclusivity, right? Where no other custom
Yes.
home builder can do it. And she was a marketer. She doesn't work for the company. She's like their marketing like consultant or whatever. But she was like super intrigued by that. And she even told me, she's like, nobody else does that. Like that's
Yeah.
really intriguing because nobody else is doing it. And so it's funny, you could almost look at that as a constraint on our part. Why are we doing it? It's because we don't have that much space for advertising, right?
We're
We don't have enough
finite.
space to advertise to custom home builders, even if I wanted to. Like that would be
Right.
difficult to do. So instead of looking at that as a negative, we flip it to a positive, right? Hey, we're going to be exclusive to only one custom home builder, and now they're really interested in that, right?
Yep.
So that was really cool. By the way, the other thing for people that she was working with another company that I was super interesting, probably not relevant to anybody, but throw it out there. It was like this furniture company that can sell the model home furniture. So she was telling me like, okay,
Oh
when you go into a
yeah.
model home, and people go, "Oh, this is so nice. Like, I love this stuff. I want my house to look like this. Where do I get this
Yeah.
furniture?" And the answer is you can't, because the companies that make that stuff, generally it doesn't go to Living Spaces or whatever, right? It's like you
Hmm.
cannot just go get it. And so this company figured that out and was like, "Well, we want to go get it and we'll sell it to the public." So now they have deals with those custom designers to sell that stuff. So anyway, I was like,
What a
that's an
unique business
intriguing
model
model.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I literally had to have her explain to me, like, what is the model here? Like, I was a little confused. And anyway, it was interesting though. I feel like that's a good type of business for local newsletters like ours, where it's something that people don't know exists, right? Like
Hmm.
you're introducing them to a business that they wouldn't have thought of existed in their area on their own. Because since in local newsletters for us, I think generally what we are selling is brand awareness.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't know it exists, just introducing them the fact that it exists is super valuable, right? As opposed
Yep.
to, hey, I'm the dentist you should go to. I feel like they still need to advertise with us, but it's a little tougher because everybody knows they can get a dentist without our newsletter, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, okay,
And
so
you hit on a
yeah.
good point there too of like having a marketing person kind of run the conversation. And that's kind of what I've been focusing on is I'm trying to find these businesses that have high ticket sales, but
Yeah.
the founder still isn't running the marketing. Like I want to talk to an actual marketing person because they can speak the language a little bit better. They know like what exclusivity means and like what it entails
hmm
from a marketing perspective and why that's special.
Yep.
So like lately, like, I've just been qualifying really quick. Like if the owner's still running the marketing, like I'll kind of just not put a ton of time into
Mm.
that.
Interesting. Well, the other
Yeah.
reason to your point why you're right for what you said, but also if you have a marketing director or somebody in charge of marketing, you obviously have a marketing budget that you're literally,
Yes.
otherwise you wouldn't have that person. So
Yep.
and then the other key to your point is it's not their money. To their point, if it's a founder, it's like, oh, it's $4,000 for this annual sponsorship or $8,000 or whatever it is. That's $8,000 that if I didn't buy from these guys is in my pocket, right? Where
Yeah.
a marketing director or whoever, they have a budget of, hey, we need to spend $12,000 a month on our marketing. It's your job to figure out the best places for it, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I'm
so
thinking of selling like the annual exclusivity packages for 25 to 50 grand. Like depending on how big the audience looks like that's
wow,
kind of what I'm going to be swinging at. I
really
don't know
like
if it's gonna land. In my head
so
it will. I think I can make the case, but yeah.
like okay, let's talk about this because it's super interesting. Because my partner on one of my newsletters, uh, well, he didn't say that high numbers, but he said the same thing. He's like, let's just go bigger, right?
Right.
And I've studied enough about this stuff and pricing and how sometimes the more you raise the price, the more it can make somebody want it if they're in the you know individually high net worth or as a business they have a big marketing budget because of psychology aspects. Um, but it's also really scary, and I imagine a lot of people listening to this who are maybe struggling to sell ads. You're telling me I'm struggling to sell ads, and you want me to raise the price? Like that seems counterintuitive. Um, so you're at 5,000 right now, right?
Hmm.
Are you saying that you would, if this custom home builder comes to you, right? And I don't know if you've already done this, tell me, but like, hey, I'm interested. What is your pricing? What is it that you're going to tell a custom home builder who has a decent marketing budget? Are you saying you would tell them 25,000 now?
No, no. I would want them to test first and make sure like we're getting them decent traffic.
Okay.
Um, But what I would say is like, hey, let's start off with just like a small starter package. And I have a small starter package
Mhm.
defined as like 3 ads and like a social post,
Okay.
X amount of dollars. Like really, if I'm doing a small starter package for 3 ads and a social post, it's going to be like $1,000. It's
Okay.
kind of like what I'm going with.
Okay.
If they see decent traffic though, like that's where I'm swinging big on that renewal and trying to
Okay.
like, I'm going to try to get them do an exclusivity. 1 year, they'll get a post every month. They'll get probably a social post or a social reel every month. And then I'm also going to say, hey, like basically part of this is I'll take some of the money you're giving me and I'm going to run it through Facebook ads to make sure that I'm consistently getting you new eyeballs. So like
Mhm.
basically part of that package is also like for my growth too, but to
Yeah.
ensure that you're getting new eyeballs every single month on your ads.
That's an interesting pitch. Okay, let's actually explore that because that's how I've been thinking about it. Like just mentally, is like right now
Yeah.
I can afford to just say, hey, if somebody pays for a big package, I'm just gonna invest a lot of it into growth. But I didn't think about that as far as that being a part of the package of, okay, because I'm going to do this, there's going to be more eyeballs, and that's more new eyeballs that will be on your ad every month because I'm getting
Right.
another 1,000, 2,000 subs every month. That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This comes from
Nice.
my B2B news. Like I do B2B newsletter sales like all
That's
day.
right.
So
That's
like
right.
I'm used to
Okay.
pitching like annual like deals and packages
Oh,
and
okay.
trying to just drum up a story.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think, in terms of a local business, like having consistently new eyeballs like every single month and having a guarantee around that and like whatever we sign as an agreement, like I
Mm,
think that does, kind of go a long way in like establishing a good partnership. Like I will do my part to make sure that you have consistently new eyeballs every single month.
very interesting. Okay. Let's say you were doing this 25,000 or whatever it is, would you say any sort of specifics in terms of whether new subs you expect to have or amount of the money you'll put toward new subs, or do you just make it a generic, I'm going to grow
It'd be
this thing?
specific. It'd
You
probably
would
be
give
an
me.
amount of the money because I can control
Okay.
that. I can't control like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
new
yeah.
subs. Like
Yeah.
shit could
Yeah.
happen.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say like maybe 10% or something of that every budget this month. Every month, 10% of like what we pay for it is going to go into growth basically for new
That's
eyeballs.
interesting. Okay. That's very interesting. I like it. Okay. Um, yeah, learn something new. I love it. Okay. So I had forgotten, yeah, that you're in this space. You're in the not only newsletters but sales, obviously
Yeah.
more B2B. What other things have you been thinking lately as far as sales, ad sales, anything else? Because I think a lot about B2B stuff, whether it's newsletters or just, sales in general, on how so many, tactics that can work really well could work well in our space, but people just haven't tried it because almost nobody doing this is an expert salesperson or comes from that world or really understands that space. And so I'm curious if you think about that a lot of like things you can pull from your experience, not in local, and drop it in the local space.
Yeah, so one of the other things I'm going to be doing, I want to roll this out by Q3, is a podcast for
Yeah.
basically what I want to do with the podcast is have like a local business owner on the podcast, like not a big business. Like I want to keep it pretty local. I'll take franchises as well, as long as like the owner's local. But I want to have that be a channel of spotlight too, and say, hey, like, if you go on another podcast, like they don't have the distribution method figured out. If
Mm-hmm.
you upload a podcast to, you know, Apple or like unless you're tweeting about it, like the traffic of seeing that organic is going to be very low.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like I already have the newsletter with all these thousands of people in Scottsdale. I can distribute the podcast, put a link to it in the newsletter with like a really good write up and a thumbnail, and drive
Mm-hmm.
instant downloads. So like not only can we get your brand in front of them in a newsletter and have them click, we can you can hit them on another channel, which is the podcast, and they can just get to know your founder story better. So I'm going to start doing that too. And I think, the benefit of that is A, it gives them another channel to kind of get in front of this Scottsdale audience on. But B, it gives me more local exposure to these like local business owners. Reaching out with like a gift,
Oh,
like, hey, come on my podcast. And then I'm going to be like pitching them on ads too, you know?
I think that's super smart. I obviously I did start doing that a couple months ago and just have slowed down because honestly, I feel like this podcast is for me higher value. So I've kind of started doing
Yeah.
this one instead. But I think you're spot on with your play. Another thing you could do if you haven't done this yet, or I think Beehive, by the way, is launching the website builder this month or next month. Like by June, I think the website builder should be up. And if you haven't seen my website, you can go to Leander Scoop to see what, because I'm on the plan that has it. But what we've done is we have a podcast section, and then you can actually write an article in there with the YouTube link at the top. So now it doesn't only live on YouTube, it can live inside of your website. That,
Mm-hmm.
at some point, if you push SEO toward the website, maybe they start showing up in Google searches because of the text that's on in the article for the YouTube video, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just another, angle that you can push on that. And then I wonder if what you're saying could also be valuable, which it seems so silly to me that it would be, but I think it could be, is you could tell them, hey, after the fact, I'm going to send you a ton of content that you can use on your social media. I'm going to send you 4 articles about, what we talked about. I'm going to send you 12 LinkedIn posts. I'm going to send you all this stuff. And all it is you just take the transcripts and run them through a custom GPT that's, to create content and then send that to them. I mean,
Yeah. Maybe even charge them like for part of the package, like
that could be part of the
social
package.
media add-on, like content, add on $3,000 to the package, and you could do that too.
People just do not understand how to do this, even though that might take us, 5 or 10 minutes to knock this out. It can look like somebody spent 2 days on it, right?
Right.
I mean, so
yeah,
that's another angle you could take. So yes, I agree with you on the podcast thing. I love it. I think it's to your point. The goal is to say, okay, when you are reaching out, for example, right? Let's say you're DMing people on Instagram, right? You're not DMing them to say, hey, I have this newsletter. It's really cool. Like, hey, want to collaborate? Like that's a good pitch, but it's still like kind of fuzzy for some people. It's like, well, what do you mean? If you say, hey, I just started a local podcast that goes along with my local newsletter. I'd love to have you on, like, for free. Like, do you want to come on?
It's a gift.
That's like a no-brainer if they're the type of person who wants to do that. Like, that's an easy yes to get them into your world, right?
Right. Yep. And then you have the in-person meeting. You can share a little bit more about your business, what you do, build some excitement, pitch them, and then you have a whole other angle of going about and getting sponsors.
Totally. And then one thing I like to think about as well, I don't do a good job at this because I'm too disorganized, but if you're not, you can solve this is, over time you're meeting more of these people. Again, same as when you're going to chamber meetings or whatever, but building these relationships with people, keep what they used to call a Rolodex, aging myself here, but whatever, have a Notion with all your people and try to become a super connector. Right.
Yep.
So try to put yourself out there as like the guy who knows, because that's kind of what we're trying to do with our brands, right? Is like, we're this umbrella brand for everything Scottsdale. And so as you make more relationships, maybe people come to you. Hey, do you know somebody who's a really good custom home builder? You're like, yeah, I know Joe. I've worked with him before. I've chatted with him. He's great. Like, go call Joe.
Yeah.
And there's so much value in being a super connector there for business people. So again, that's more of a long-term idea, but start now and start saving everybody's info and about them. And I think there's a lot of value that can come to that long-term.
Yeah. What's funny is I had someone from the city of Scottsdale reach out to me that's part of like, I don't know if they're like the head per se, but they're somewhat in charge of like economic development in Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
And they reached out to me and they kind of had the same notion of like, hey, like your business is going to be, driving people into these doors and like connecting people with like places they probably are not aware of. So like, let us know what you need to do to like be successful and like, we'll help whatever we can.
Dude, that's okay. So you have you talked to them? Like, have you?
I had a meeting. An in-person meeting with them last week. They gave me a lot of really cool like resources, and they're like, if you want intros, like here, and here, let me know. But yeah, it was just like a high-level meeting.
Okay, yeah, because I can't remember who's told me, but I think that the economic development board or team or whatever, that's like a really good one to know. Because they're like. Not only are they just connected with all the businesses but especially what's coming in new, right? So then I know you don't do as much on the news side, but to be able to like break the stories, right? Like, oh, this big brand is coming in. They're the ones who know it, right? So if you told them like, hey, if you guys get anybody big coming in, like I'll feature it. Like tell me what businesses are coming that people would want to know. And now you're breaking news for people, and especially maybe on social, that can get a lot of attention, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a good. I'm gonna hit them up on that. I didn't even think to do that. I was just like, like they're like, well, here's like some grant resources. Here's like some small business groups. Here's like our newsletter to like share stuff. But they were, it was a good meeting. Like I could tell they cared to like make the business successful.
Yeah, that's. I still have not had a single one reach out to me. I've almost 20,000 now, and none of those have reached out to me. So. Again, I think I got to put in more work, which is
crazy. Fun. You're at 20,000 subscribers now?
Almost, I think like 18.5 or almost 19. Yeah, between the two, and then I actually have a third one in Austin now with a partner has 2,500. So yeah, between the three, we're over 20. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Nice. Man.
Yeah. So yeah, we just crossed 10 on the Round Rock one 2 days ago. So I'm excited about that to find. feels very, it's like, what's the difference between 9,984 versus 10,002? It's like only whatever 16, but it's just different now.
The
Now you have
milestone.
an extra digit. Yeah, that milestone. So,
Yeah.
but not even for me, right? For others, it almost feels like, well, I haven't done it yet, other than this one lady this morning. But talking to the business owners, like, yeah, I have over 10,000. Like, that's just a number that registers, I think, with people more than less than 10.
Yeah.
So,
You know what's funny is like I think too a lot of it the momentum is happening just because like how things have changed in my mind, and it kind of relates to like that milestone. Like now I'm
when
over
you hit 5,
5,000 subscribers.
yep,
Like yeah, like when I hit five,
yep.
like I just felt more confident in it,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm just like really like going in and like pitching it with everything.
Yeah, no,
Because
that's
at first I was like, oh, like 3,000, 2,000, and I don't know, it's not that big of a difference, but like in my head,
mm-hmm.
the
Yeah, and
confidence thing did make a
and that
difference.
that can have a huge impact, right? How you see it,
Yeah.
it comes across, right? So no,
Yep.
that's good. Yeah. Okay, cool. What about anything on your end engagement wise, like whether getting people to click, getting people to reply, welcome emails. Have you like adjusted anything or done anything unique in the last couple months there?
No, I did take one of your guests like basically was feeding all that click data into ChatGPT.
Yeah, that was Shane.
I
Yeah.
did do that. And
Okay.
I really honed in on like the type of content that's getting more
Okay.
clicks. So I've just been like focusing a little bit more on that. Like I'm still
Yeah.
having like other content here and there, but primarily like very entertainment event heavy now, just based on what's getting
Mm-hmm.
the clicks and what kind of ChatGPT saw. So
Mm-hmm.
I did change that. In terms of the welcome email, no. I still would really love to get like an affiliate person on the welcome email. I just have not
Yeah.
found
Same.
anyone that
Same.
knows how to track anything like that. Like all the
Mm-hmm.
good med spas that I wanted, like they don't have any sophistication in marketing, and I'm like, there's no way they're going to be able to track this. Like even if I'm
Well,
driving qualified people.
could you? Okay, so let's talk about this because first of all, you're spot on. I that's still my biggest like white whale or whatever right now that I'm thinking of is what is that offer that could be in a welcome email that doesn't feel spammy, that's
Yeah.
valuable enough that people would take it up, and to where we could make money because that just changes everything if you can pull that off.
Yep.
So okay, so med spas is one of the ones that I think about the most for this.
Yep.
Okay, they don't have any way to track. So so that's obviously a problem, but how could you get around that problem, right? Number one, can you build something to where you're the one tracking it? Now, I know there's a bit of a headache on your end to have to do this, but if you built in some sort of form system, whatever, a Google form, that the link goes to the Google form and then the Google form gets emailed to them, but you now have it because they filled out the Google form that's yours. Like, I mean, I know that probably doesn't solve the whole problem, but would that help, you think? Or
Not really, because the tracking happens on their side, like when a customer pays, right? Like when
yes.
the customer pays, like whether it's in store or like online, like they have to have that tracking system set up to where they can see the UTM, see where the traffic source is coming from, track it and attribute it to an actual sale. They don't have any of that. They're like, oh, we
Mm-hmm.
have a CRM. Like, what do you like check where your traffic's coming from? Like, oh, like we kind of know. And I'm like, damn, like yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way they're gonna be able to
So what
track
about
like anything like that.
yeah, but then what if it was just instead of selling on like a closed deal, what if it was selling on a lead basis, right? Like, hey, for everybody who, fills out this form, pay me $10 because for everybody who fills it out, you're going to get at least, for every two, you're going to get one to show up. So you're paying $20 a lead,
Hmm.
something in that form. What do you think about that?
That could be interesting. Like have it go to a Google form, have a Zapier or a Zap
Mm-hmm.
like automate like emailing them every day of like the
Mm-hmm.
4 people that sign up.
Mm-hmm. And then you just charge
Yeah.
them because the person filled it out. I mean, this is
Hmm.
this is how it works. And I mean, as far as I know, and I was in the insurance world. This is how leads work. Like you, especially let's say data leads, where you're just getting the person's information. If somebody fills out a form, you pay for that form. It doesn't matter. I think there may be some exceptions, but generally, like it doesn't matter if they don't answer the phone or they don't show up. It
Right.
doesn't matter. You're paying for the lead, and they just have to calculate. Okay, well, I know for every lead that I get, we close 25% of them. So then they just multiply their lead cost by 4 and say, is it worth it? Right.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, with their LTV of a med spa, which I don't know, but I'm assuming is, I asked ChatGPT, I think said it was like 3 or 4 grand. Would you pay $40 for, I'm just making up numbers here. If they got, if it was $10 a lead and they had to get, 4 to get one, would you pay $40 for a customer if you make 4 grand on them? I would think so. I would think they'd probably pay a lot more than that. Right.
Probably paid
but
1 grand.
probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I think to your point though, it's so much easier than it sounds, right? Because I think what you're saying, and you tell me, they're even if you did this, they're still like potentially not that sophisticated to really like grasp, okay, so you're gonna send me people's names and numbers, but then we have to call them, and then what if they don't show up, and how do we know? And they're just gonna kind of get hung up in the weeds, as opposed to just like, you're gonna make money by doing this. Like, it's a no-brainer. They may just not get that, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there could be that, but even on my side, it's like they don't have the tracking. Even if we were to do like a rev share, because I was thinking more along the terms of a rev share, is like they have no idea to tell, where this traffic is really coming from, unless maybe they set up a discount code for Scottsdale Scoop and like people remember to share it. But even then, people remember or forget to freaking do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
The damn time. I just know from like marketing, like people just forget to put in discount codes.
100%. That's why I think the real solution here, if that's that big of a problem, if there isn't a better way to figure out, is just say, hey, just charge per lead. Again, I think then the downside of that, if somebody did agree to that and said, yeah, I'll pay you X, whatever, $10 a lead, is, what is their offer? Well, actually, maybe to your point, I think the only way it makes sense to put it in a welcome email is if the discount is so valuable that somebody feels like they have to sign up for it right then and there. It can't just be, oh, we're a med spa and we're really great, come visit us. Like, nobody will click on it, right? But if it says, hey, you get 50% off your first visit, or maybe even more, if I owned a med spa, if I knew my LTV was $4 grand, I'd probably do it for free or dirt cheap. It has to be an offer that people will take them up on. But so if that's the case, I bet you they won't forget to do the discount code if it's 50%, right? Yeah. They will forget if it's 5%, but if it's 50, maybe they won't, and maybe that solves the problem.
Yeah.
So something to think about.
But then you got to you got to rely on the med spa then, like being able to make a report every month and be like, all right, we got 9 people from you, they spent this.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, I think there are, it depends on what CRM they use, right? But maybe it is possible. Hey, give me a login to the CRM, but still, if somebody wants to be shady, they could just take it out of the CRM. That's why, again, I've talked about this model even in insurance before with people, and it's like every time the answer is just charge per lead. Like, it's just that simple. Just charge per lead, and then who cares? Don't worry about it. And if your leads end up being bad and they're not going through, adjust, right? They'll stop paying. You have to figure out another plan, but that may not be a problem. So, yeah, no, I definitely need to start getting in front of some med spas myself, because I think that is just such a no-brainer. Have any of them wanted to do it?
All the med spas respond on Instagram.
Oh, they do. Oh, on Instagram. Oh, because that's where their clients.
Specifically.
Really? Okay. Well, that's
where I've been getting like all the in-person meetings or the Instagram.
Wow. Okay.
And then
I love that. What about? Have you talked to them just in general about like being advertisers?
Yeah. I've gone in and pitched them in person. They've all gone really well. I think the thing is like, oh, like we have a marketing budget this month, or like, oh, like we got to wait for like this to launch next month. Or, oh, like we're super into it. And then like I have to just play follow up to like get them to pick a damn date. And it's like, that game.
So it's the typical game of they are interested. They know it's a good idea, but it's just hard to get a hold of them, to nail them down. Plus sometimes their budgets. It's, we got to wait till we pay for this thing. That's a 3-month contract. We got to wait till we stop paying them to pay you. So essentially it's a long game is the point, right?
Right. It's a long, yeah. And it's sales, man. Like there is a sales cycle for sure. I was hoping it'd be a little bit shorter on local newsletter, but no, it's still there. It's still taking like a few conversations.
Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. Let's talk real quick, about social media. Are you putting in, how much effort are you putting into Instagram content? What are your thoughts on it? Anything new on doing socials?
I still think it's extremely valuable. Obviously the sponsor is probably not going to have a lot of results from social media, but to that one that one podcast you had with that guy, like if you have 60,000 people on your damn Instagram account and you DM a business, like they're gonna want to respond.
Yep.
So it has like that effect to it, and I think that's kind of like what I'm gonna use it for. So what I did, I went out and found an intern from ASU. They actually start next Monday, so they haven't started yet.
Nice.
But offer letter, gonna basically pay them like $100 a week, just to do like a few posts, and then basically just see kind of how it goes. But yeah, found an intern. Gonna start rolling out a little bit more social content, and just have them kind of focus on social because I don't like to do it. I still don't do it.
So that's awesome. That's exactly, you're so lucky. You're, next to a big school with a lot of students, and especially ones who, I'm imagining a lot of young people nowadays want to get into marketing and digital and social media and all that. That's awesome. I've literally been trying to think about this too. I want to do exactly what you're doing. I think if it's the right person, that could crush, right? If they're out making quality videos, I mean, that could just be awesome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I think the way you get to 60,000 or, so many followers is making highly unique and valuable, engaging videos about what's going on in the area. And I don't feel like it's rocket science. It's just a lot of effort. Right. And I think people like us just don't have the time or energy to be going around doing that. But these college kids do.
Yeah. And we'll see. I think there might be time constraints on like what they can actually see in person. And, that might be the downfall. But I think, at least they can get some content up. And maybe there's like down the line, I can like actually hire someone who just does this full time.
Yep.
And is down to just like go in person and like get cool stuff,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's what unfortunately, I think a lot of what we need to do to really make this thing as big as we want is you just need more time, which the way you generally get that is you pay for it. You pay for somebody else to do it. Right. But if we don't have the income coming in yet, it's difficult to do. Right. So we're in that catch-22. Cause the ideal world is you go hire someone for, $3,500 a month to just go make you killer content, but that's not going to pay off short term financially. So almost none of us can actually do that. Right. So that's where I think the intern can be the right middle ground. But again, getting, first of all, how did you find this person? Like, what did you do to get this person?
So there's a website called Handshake, and it connects to all the major colleges in the US. And I basically just threw a job post up with the schools I wanted to target. It was just ASU. I came from ASU. I was like, if I'm going to hire someone, it's going to be from ASU. And and that's it, man. Handshake.
So, okay. Because I'm looking at it now. It looks like, is it also just an actual job board too, not just for interns?
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah, I had a lot of applicants, like 50, just kind of sorted through, just seeing who had the best attitude, really. Yeah. I was just trying to find someone like who seemed like the best attitude, and this girl was like, she messaged me here, she emailed me, and she DM'd me on Instagram, and I was like, all right, I like the effort. Like,
Yep. Sometimes that's all it takes to stand out, right?
Yeah.
Do you have to? I'm looking at the site now. Do you have to pay for this? Because I want to get on this right now.
No, you don't have to pay. They just have to verify like your business.
Okay.
Yeah, and once that's verified, like it's a free post.
Dude, this is awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
It just sucks for me because I'm 30 miles from UT, University of Texas. So I'm like, okay, yeah, they're obviously on here, but is anybody going to be out my way?
Right.
Maybe they would. I mean, I guess it's possible. I should probably.
Or maybe they can do some stuff like remote too. Like, I don't know, if you get the content and you send it to
them.
Well,
the editing for sure. I mean, I have my assistant who can do editing, but he's not great at it. If maybe there's somebody there who's like got that like whatever Mr. Beast, the legit influencer style editing that might crush. So that's another good one.
Yeah.
Or actually, the thing that I've wanted the most help with is writing. Like if somebody can do like just be a better. I'm not a good writer. Obviously, overseas people are not great. My wife's pretty good. My wife's good at it, but now we've got so many newsletters. It's a little bit more of a challenge with all the stuff we're trying to do with socials, plus the newsletter, plus the website articles. It's a lot.
Yeah, I need to. I feel you because I kind of want to go that route too of like expanding and covering like local sports and covering like restaurant openings and having it just like not exist in a newsletter, but on the site somewhere too. But then, the undertaking of that is the writing. And I'm like, damn, like I have to find a good writer.
Yep. So I think everybody should be thinking about what you just said as the big vision, right? Like that is probably where this needs to go to be really successful long term. Obviously, you don't have to do it right now, right? You can build up to that, but I do think that's where you've got to go, right?
Yeah.
I mean, again, just coming back to every episode now, I'm going to talk about it. Like AI, like you got to figure out ways, strategies you can implement that are valuable to locals that cannot be done by AI, right?
Right. And a lot of it is like the breaking news. Like AI is not good at catching what happened today. It's good at catching what happened 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Today. It's
well,
like
it could be decent at it, but I think that's where what we talked about before, the economic development person. Like, okay, you are talking to somebody. Like, there's nothing on the internet saying that, you know, there's a new Raising Cane's coming to this corner. Not, you know, whatever. The economic development person knows it because the contractor knows it, but that's not like available for AI to get that information. So you can get this kind of stuff human to human, and then you are the one breaking it, and then AI takes it from you. Like,
and I'm the inside scoop.
That's
the
right.
Scottsdale scoop.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah. Cool. John, this has been great. Anything new that I didn't ask you? Anything you've been up to that you think is interesting or concepts you've heard in the last couple months?
No, man. I think, you know, outside of just kind of shared the little tactics I'm using reaching out, that's really it. The rest is just like the continuous day-to-day work of this and getting out in person and like meeting these people.
Yeah. I think that really is the best advice for most people, including me. I need to just force myself to set that time aside. I think my chamber doesn't do as good as yours of like, okay, there's a meeting in the morning or there's one in the afternoon. I've looked at the email of like what kind of events they have, and they're a little odd. They're not as like straightforward, the value prop of them, but I think the point is I need to just go anyway. Like, who cares? Like,
if it sucks, I don't know, maybe like Leander Scoop and be like, hey, like, why don't we throw a joint event and I'll show you guys how to do this.
That's a good strategy.
You know?
That's actually a great strategy. Yeah, I love that. Again, with our brand, we're trying to build this big local umbrella brand that can do so many things in the area. That can just be another thing, right? Just getting your sign up there. That's what Landon was saying yesterday from Wichita is like partnering with somebody doing a big event and putting his signs everywhere. Like he's co-sponsoring the event, right? Probably not going to get signups from that, but you get that brand awareness and brand value
and social proof.
Social proof. There you go. Exactly. Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, John. This has been great. We'll do it again. Let's do it again in a couple months and see. I hope to hear about a lot of these ads finally coming through. That's going to be great.
Yeah. Hopefully I have an exclusive partner by then. I'll let you know.
There you go. Awesome.
Cool, man.
All right. Thanks, John.
Yep.
See ya.
That's it.